Hi, everyone, and welcome to Potentials. We have our friends today, Frank Chille and Dr. Andrea Martin, and we are going to be talking about a lot of different things. But the first thing is Andrea has a message that she received today, and she's going to be sharing that with us. And so feel free to go right ahead and launch into that.
Oh,
I'm looking
thank you,
forward to it.
Linda. Yeah, and I'm just gonna say, it's an honor to be here today with everyone sharing our time together. And I'm hot off the farm, so as you can tell. But anyway, yes, this morning, interesting. I didn't expect a message, but here is the one that they had delivered. I'm gonna try to. It's all still in my scribble, so I can't read my own writing. So figures. So I'm just going to try to, clarify some of what I was given. Of course, it's because it's telepathy. I get pictures and visions and videos and like sensations and feelings and words. But all of a sudden they gave me this word deception. Okay, here we go. I was like, they said, well, the devil is in the details. You will know what is real or not by the resonance or frequency of the details. Judgment. They said, tricking the mind to push aside natural discernment in favor of a wrong path. But this will feel wrong. Use intuition. Feel what is the answer. And this will liberate you on so many levels. And they showed me a white dove flying, like flying free, the idea of like flying into the sky, like liberation, as they showed me. You will be unburdened by chaos, by information bombardment, by the frantic need to consume everything. And they kept showing me this like almost a cascade of things like consume, like just blasting. Because what you need to know is already within you. Answers come from within. That is your compass. The way forward is forged by cutting away illusions. And the correct method to do this feels easy, natural, vibrant. It is without resistance, fear, confusions, lack. And then they said disobedience. So they said it's about being disobedient. If you are feeling confused, juggling decisions, hanging in limbo, ungrounded, like you need others' help or guidance out of a personal sense of failure, lack, or inner weakness. And they went on to describe what they meant by what they were saying by seeking help outside of yourself, seeking the guidance from others. And they said, but seeking help from a place of command or confidence feels empowering. So they wanted to just clarify that. If you're seeking help or guidance outside of yourself because you are feeling some kind of sense of lack or fear or failure or anxiety, they said that is coming from a place of lack and a sense of inner weakness, which is not a good place to be. They said, but there are times where wisdom dictates that you would want to seek help, and that seeking help in and of itself is not the bad thing. It says, as long as you are coming from a place of command and confidence. So, and they said seeking help from a place of fear or weakness feels restless or anxious. There is a frenzy of lack. Decision making from a foundation or perspective of inner fragmentation. And it's like in quotes, they're like, do not believe in yourself, your ability, your worth. They said, this is the information that you have been given, that's been sort of drilled into you, that you watch on television or in the news or whatever kind of social media you're using. There's this constant drilling into your head, telling you, be nervous, be panicky, don't think for yourself. Let me tell you what to do. Like I said, it says, don't believe in yourself. Don't trust yourself. Don't trust your worth. Don't trust your ability. But they said, the idea of surrendering your power to others because you are lacking the discernment to choose, to think, to know, that this relying on yourself, they said the correct thing is that relying on yourself because you already are in a good position. They said, but not doing this will only lead to shame, bad outcomes, or loss. They're saying this is the whole, and they said it. They said this is the cabal, this is religions. I'm probably gonna. They said all these institutions, school systems, even your parents, people you hang out with sometimes. They're saying places that you work. They're saying this is what they're bombarding you with. And of course, when they're bombarding you with chaos, with fear, they said that is what you will end up with. It'll only lead to shame, bad outcomes and loss. And I think for, many of us have had that in our lifetime, and we know people that are experiencing that now. And it is a design, they said, from the cabal. When you surrender to others, to the infrastructure, when you are surrendering your will, when you surrendering your own discernment, when you are surrendering the guidance that comes from within you to an infrastructure, they said that is when you will be led astray. And that was pretty much that. So.
Well, that's really interesting because
Yeah.
we just that's that's kind of what I just had this conversation sort of with Zoe, and we just did a podcast on it a few hours ago, and it's almost the same message.
That would, yes, that, yeah.
So we're getting it. We're all getting it collectively, That's really cool.
Yeah. No, that's what's in. I actually just had a meeting with a woman today, a client today. And she was talking to herself in the car, and she's, I remember something, but she says, I just hit rock bottom. She said, this is it. This is it. I gotta, she had lost her authenticity. And she says, oh, this, I'm gonna reconnect to who I really am. And okay, this is what's in the air. I do feel, and your average person is beginning to sort of dip their toes in the water of this new experience. And it probably feels very uncomfortable for them because everything is telling you that you can't rely on yourself, you're not good enough, whatever.
Right.
And it's the complete opposite of all of that.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely, it's in the vibe for sure.
Yeah, I think
Lots of
people are
distractions.
scared.
Lots of distractions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's the thing that I had just said to Zoe was it's like the birth of a new world, and we're going through the transition right now of that transitional phase when you're giving birth. Women who've given birth will know what I mean, where you feel like you just want to bite down on something. You just want to, it's like so painful that you just want to grab something and hang on for dear life. And that's where we're at right now. It's that feeling where it's because we're going through this transition, it's a very painful feeling. And it's also very scary. It's, like, because you're losing your sense of stability, but the stability that you thought you had isn't really as stable as you think it is. And it's all going to crumble and fall. So you don't want to hang on to that. You want to hang on to what plant yourself in the ground, and the ground will take care of you. The earth will take care of you.
And letting go of old paradigms. We have to let go of all the old nonsense because it tends to weigh us like an anchor.
Yes, that's what all that is, that you're hanging on to is all the old stuff. And you think it's stable, but it's not. You've not at all. It's crumbling, and so you don't want to hang on to that. You have to let go.
It's not crumbling fast enough. It's not crumbling. I let go a long time ago. I'm in a whole different thing.
Yep.
Some very aware individuals have told me that during this eclipse, which is going to be gracing us tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of downloads of very positive nudging of awareness and consciousness. And just be open and receptive to it, because it's going to be very, very inspirational and very beneficial. I really feel that too. Nothing negative. And they said that if people can see it during the total cover of the sun by the moon, you're going to see solar flares and corona flares are going to be remarkable.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to be really, really something.
I'm in New England, so we're going to get a real good view here.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to get about an 85% view here in New Jersey.
Same, yes. Me and the chickens are going to party.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
I will. It won't be that much of a totalitarian, whatever you call it. It's not going to be that here in Florida. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's not anywhere near as much as what you guys are going to experience. So that's exciting for you.
Well, whatever you get a chance to see, just experience it. That's it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I look at the sunset every night. I watch the sun go down almost every night. And it's the most beautiful feeling. And I feel the energy coming from it, and it's healing. So I'm not afraid of the sun.
No, not at all. We shouldn't be afraid of it. It's very uplifting in regards to awareness and consciousness, because there is a tremendous energy there. And it's not a burning energy. It's an energy that's enlightening. It's not burning. It's enlightening.
Yeah.
I call it light codes. Like I receive my light codes every night.
Linda, I wanted to share with you and Andrea. I had sent you that clip regarding how Bigfoot healed me. And I wanted to share with you and Andrea. There's two ladies that I know. One lives in Hamilton Township, which is north of Trenton. And she's in touch with a Bigfoot by the name of Jarrow. And she's in telepathic communication with it. This other girl, her name is Kathleen. She lives, I was sharing with Linda, Andrea, she lives out by the Allegheny National Forest. The only place that's close to her that you could probably see on the map is called Biker's Cave, but she's been interacting with them for quite a while. And she told me of an experience that she had. I spoke to her earlier during the week, and she said, Frank, she said, I had hurt myself. And she said, I was damaged. My hip had been damaged. And she said, there was no rupture of the skin, but she said she felt that there was some internal damage that had been done. And she felt in a lot of pain and discomfort. So she put the thought out that she needed some assistance in regards to healing. And she was hoping to do it in a natural way. And she's in touch with a Bigfoot there that she calls Henry. I believe he's 9 feet tall. And she has met very many different types of, she doesn't call them Sasquatch. She said there's different tribes. Like the fellow who talked about, he was healed by Bigfoot. He called them the forest people. That's a very nice term. Jeff Rohn calls them the Sasquatch people. And Kathleen said to me, she said, these were all different tribes. She said, their tribes are very varied. And she said, some of them have their own colorations. Some of them will be red. Some will be gray. Some will be brown. Some will be chestnut colored. She said she met one that she calls Frost. She said he looks all white. His hair is all white. And she said that they can range in height to 12.5 to 15 feet tall. Oh. And she said when she put the thought out regarding healing, she said her friends never imposed themselves on her. They would ask her if they could enter her home. So she said she allowed them to come into her house, and she noticed in her bedroom faces her bedroom door and faces a hallway. And she said she saw 3 of them in the hallway. Henry was in the center, and she said, how did you folks fit inside that hallway? And they were like shoulder to shoulder, and they were able to walk into her room. And she said that Henry told her this. I'd never heard this before. This is really remarkable. They said they have the ability to amend the environment to accommodate their size.
Interesting.
Isn't that something? So she said she had 2 dogs, and when the beings came into her home, they started barking. And she said one of them had a flashlight and shone the flashlight to the dogs, and the dogs just got quiet. And she said they came in and they said, we will work with you to help overcome your discomfort. And she said she was just lying in bed, and she said the next thing she knew, it was morning and she had no more pain. And she said they were gone. And she said it was remarkable to be able to reach out to them. And she said once you connect with them, she said you're connected to them for life. And she said she communicates with them telepathically. And she said, Frank, when I get a message from them, they come in like thought bubbles. She said they're like little bubbles of thoughts. And she said they have the ability to speak English. She said some of them speak quite a few different languages. And she said that she had one female, she calls them foot people. She doesn't call them Sasquatch, but she said the ones that she's interacting with are different from Sasquatch. So she said she had a female foot being living with her in her home, her little cabin, and it had a child. And it was the Bigfoot child. It was the Sasquatch child. And she said her hair was blonde and was beautiful blonde hair. She said most of the female Sasquatch or female beings have either blonde hair or strawberry blonde. And she said some of them wear flowers. They put flowers in their fur. Isn't that something? She said, and she said that the one little one that she had that she wanted to introduce Kathleen to, she was taking care of it. And she said, they were such loving and affectionate beings. And she said, they would only come in if you allowed them to come in and asked them if they could come in. But she said she feels nothing but love and affection from them and protection as well. And they told her that there were major things in the works, that she was going to be interacting with them on a large scale basis for events that are going to be occurring this summer. She said they want to announce their presence to mankind, that they've been here for a long period of time. She said that some of them live in caves, some of them live in the inner earth. And she said there's so many different tribes here. And I'd sent her the clip that I'd sent you to regarding the Sasquatch that was behind the bushes. It was, I think it was in Washington or Oregon. And if you zoom in, you could see his skin on his face was blue. And I said, Kathleen, can you recognize that? And she said, no. She said, I've never seen one of those beings that had blue skin. And as her and I were talking, Henry sent her a thought bubble that it was one of the tribes that's a hybrid tribe from another tribe. And she said there are blue ones as well. And she said that's the first time she's ever seen a blue being. And she said, Frank, there's such a tremendous diversity. And they want to come forward. They want to start interacting with us. And she said, they're definitely interdimensional. She said that some of them live thousands of years. And she said, the tallest one she's ever seen is 15 feet, which is quite remarkable, 15 feet tall. And they have the ability to become invisible. She said that they can interact with trees and they get recharged going into trees. And she said, whenever people see like a hand coming from around a tree or them peeking from behind a tree, she said they have the ability of going in and out of trees. And she said they can leave footprints if they want, or they don't need to leave footprints. And they're just really remarkable beings. They've been here as long as humankind has been here, but they've lived separate. They've lived separate from us. But they want to begin to interact with us on more of an open basis. She said some of them have craft. She said they have their own starships. She said a lot of them interact with the star visitors that are coming here. And she said it's going to be a joyous interaction when it occurs. And she said there's a lot of activity occurring here from the Pleiades as well. And she said there's going to be some announcements that are going to be made regarding our star visitors. And she said we're in a great awakening, and not to have any fear. It's like letting go and allowing us to float upward with what it is that we're going to be experiencing. And I told her about Brett, who did the documentary A Flash of Beauty and did A Flash of Beauty Revealed, and he's working on a third one. And I said, Kathleen, would you be open if I introduced you to Brett, you and Cindy? She's the girl that lives in Hamilton Township, who's in touch with Jarrow. She said, yeah, she'd very much be open to it. She said it'd be wonderful to share this on more of an open basis so more people feel comfortable with it. So this guy, go ahead.
Get in contact with Ronnie LeBlanc. He lives in my area. I think a lot of people watching today might know because he was on a Bigfoot show. He's still on a Bigfoot show. But Ronnie LeBlanc.
Do you have contact information you could text me, and I'll share with
we're hoping to have Ronnie on the show as well. He's going to this month, but he's had so many experiences with Bigfoot, and so I live in a hotspot area for not only off-planet people, but also Bigfoot. So Ronnie LeBlanc has had some amazing stories similar to other people. He's actually seen them where you can hear them and see the ground and feel the ground moving, everything, but there's nobody there. They're invisible. But you can see the shadow and the bushes are moving and what's going on. So it seems like they can, shield themselves,
Yes.
That would be a wonderful connection. And I'm sure Ronnie would be excited to meet he's always seems to be open to meeting other people who've had these experiences. So yeah.
Wonderful. I shared with Kathleen the link of the interview that Jeff Rohn had with Jeff Renz, and she really enjoyed hearing Jeff talk about his experiences. And she said, Frank, they want to interact with him openly. And she said, let him know that if he's let's go with fear and is open and receptive, they will come and be more open with him. Now, I shared with Jeff that Kathleen had gotten healing from them. And he said, Frank, I have some shoulder problems that are giving me a lot of discomfort. And he said, I wonder if they would work with me. And I said that to Kathleen about Jeff's injury. And she said, if he's open to it and puts a thought out that he would like them to interact with him, they will come to him. But they will only do it with his permission. So I shared that with Jeff. And he said, boy, I'd really like to connect with Kathleen. And she gave me her contact information to share with Jeff, and he was going to reach out to her. And I think they'll have a really good communication. It's really good. She's very open and a great lady. And she said that they have talents and abilities we could only guess at right now. But, you know, they're very aware of who they are, and everything is about consciousness and awareness. You know, we shut down a lot of that on our end.
I have a question. If people want to reach out to them, does it matter where they live? Do they have to live in an area that is a hot spot or not?
Kathleen and Jeff and others that I've met have told me that these forest people live all around the earth. And they may be close to you and you don't even realize it because it could be invisible. But she said that if you have the receptive and open mind, she said they're always looking for more contact with us so that more people will feel comfortable and open to that kind of communication. And she said they have such tremendous wisdom, so much tremendous affection. And she said they can be very, very gentle.
I believe it. Yeah. I've heard a lot of stories about that already. And you've shared quite a few of them with me as well, Frank. So I appreciate that. And yeah, I love hearing stories like this. I think it's very encouraging, you know, to know that they're out there and that they're willing to work with us and, you know, show us healing and there's so much we can learn from them.
Truly. Jeff had told me that he was inspired to go out into the woods, and he said he brought his guitar with him, and he got this mental impression of play a song for us. So he sang a song, a Beatles song to them. And he said, after he got done, he said, he got a thought. The thought said, can you play us a song of something you've created yourself? And then Jeff did. And he said, they were in the woods listening to him. And he said, Frank, he said, it was a wonderful feeling. It was a wonderful experience. I said, you're lucky you had that experience. And he said, you know, they're very gentle. He said, there's no fear that they exhibit towards him. And he said that he'd like to be able to be more open with them. And after I told him what Kathleen said, and I think he's going to connect with her, I think he's going to be more open and receptive to interaction with them. And I said, Jeff, would you be willing to have them come into your house if they wanted to work with you? And he thought for a moment and he said, I would. And I said, if you put that thought out, then you'll have that interaction. He said, because they've not shown anything to him that was offensive. He said, it's just that he's not used to seeing anything that's like that, that's that big. And, you know, you can't criticize them because they're huge. You really can't, you know?
Well, I've been looking, it's funny that you bring this up because I had been looking into giants, you know, and I've been studying giants lately, and I just find them so fascinating because they've existed for a very, very long time, maybe even before humans were here. And and I just wonder, you know, where did they go? Why aren't they around anymore? Why can't we see them? And now with you explaining this, it does kind of make sense. You know, like they just probably went off into, you know, a more private area, and now they just come out whenever they feel comfortable coming out, and when someone they feel has the right attitude towards them or whatever, then they might, you know, show themselves. But I can understand why they wouldn't otherwise. So yeah, it makes sense.
And another thing that they've shared is that they're very open and communicative to Native Americans. A lot of Native Americans on their reservations, they're interacting openly with them. And there's things that have been shared with them that the Native Americans have not shared with us because they feel that we're so abusive in our conduct towards one another and how we utilize things in a selfish and ego-based manner.
Right. Service to self. Yeah.
Yes. So he said, and Kathleen had said to me, and others have said that Native Americans are willing to share this, but we have to be more humane towards one another.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think they were maybe ancestors of some of the native tribes. Some of these
could very well be. Could very well be. Yes.
I was doing a little bit of research, and I found the Conestoga Indians that were on the other side, over kind of where you are, Frank, on the other side of Pennsylvania. I don't know if you're familiar with Lenape Park.
Of course, yes, of course.
I used to go there all the time. Well, apparently there were the Lenape Indians.
That's right. And
And
there
the
was also
Lenape,
The Rancocas tribe along the Rancocas Creek, and they have
yes,
their own reservation here.
right. And there were some giants there, and they were called they were, I think they were originally called something else. I can't remember the name now, but then they changed their name to Conestoga Indians, because they had to move, and they were very, very tall.
Yes,
Um, so I find that interesting. It seems like maybe they were, somehow connected to, um, these beings, possibly in some way.
I think there's a lot of visitors that are living here amongst us on Earth that we're not aware of, that they may be existing at different frequencies and different vibrational levels that we can't see. But as our awareness increases and as our vibration increases, we'll be more open and receptive to seeing them.
Yes, I believe that completely. There's so many things just in life that you can just walk through the woods and something you've never noticed before. You'll see it in the woods and you'll be like, "Oh, wow, that's so beautiful. Why didn't I never notice that?" And
Sure,
that happens with everything.
I
So,
agree. I agree.
yeah, just try to stay open to noticing beautiful things and natural beauty, and it just follows you.
Everything has awareness and everything has consciousness,
Mhm.
and that's the key to everything. It really is.
Yes.
Um, it's going to be an honor to share this story with you regarding this woman that I met when I was living in California. I met a girl who lived in Newport Beach. Her name was Patricia, and I shared information with her regarding UFOs and our star family visitors who were coming down here. And she found all this really remarkable. And she said, Frank, I want to introduce you to a woman who's had some incredible experiences. She said, would you be willing to go with me on a Sunday to the Unitarian Church, which was in Orange County, the city of Orange in Orange County, California? So I said, sure, Patricia, I'd be happy to. She said that she doesn't speak openly too frequently, but she's an exceptional woman. So I said, sure, let's go. So we went, and this person was scheduled to speak at 11 a.m. in the morning. And she walks into the room from another room. And as soon as I saw her, she seemed to be very familiar. She had high cheekbones and her cheeks were like really rosy red. She probably looked to be in her early to mid, maybe late 50s. And she took the podium and she said, I'm going to share some remarkable stories with you. She said, I'm from a family from back east. She said, I was born with the gift of being able to see things clairvoyantly and see things etherically. And she said, my family did not like that. She said, my family was very conservative and they also had a business. And she said, my name is Dolly Campbell of the Campbell Soup Company. And if you remember the commercials with the Campbell Soup kids, and they would say, good, Campbell Soup is good. She was the cartoon person of the boy was her brother, and the cartoon image of her was her as a little girl with the high cheekbones and the rosy red cheeks. And I thought, my God, now I recognize who she is. And she said that her family did not want her to talk openly about her abilities. And they said, Dolly, if you don't stop interacting it at this level, we're going to cut you off from the family. And she said, these are God-given gifts. And she said, I'm not going to shut this off. But they said, would you be willing to live in a different part of the country and be away from us? And she agreed to do that. And they offered her a stipend. And she moved to California where she could be open with her gifts. And she was receiving information and giving people readings. She was very, very accurate. And she started receiving information from individuals who claimed to be star visitors from other planets. And Dolly was not used to this at all. She said, this has got to be nonsense. There's no such thing as star visitors coming down here. And she was like putting off receiving messages that were being given to her. So she worked as a volunteer at the Orange County Hospital in the city of Orange, and she lived on the corner of Orange Street and Harbor Boulevard, which is a very busy intersection. She had a beautiful home that had a bow window looking out on Harbor Boulevard. And there was a traffic light there. And she said this one day before she was getting ready to go to work, she noticed this young man who looked to be about 23 or 24 years of age come up to the corner where the traffic light is. And she said he was wearing a windbreaker and was wearing a pair of jeans and, a nice shirt. And she said he didn't wait for the light to change. He walked out into the traffic. And she said a car hit him going probably at least 50 miles an hour. And she said his body flew up in the air and came crashing down to the asphalt, to the street. She ran out there right away. And she said she didn't see any blood. She didn't see any exposed bones. And she said he was conscious. And she bent down and said, are you in a lot of pain and discomfort? And he said, please stay with me. She said, I called the hospital for an ambulance to come. And she said, the hospital is only about 5 minutes away. He said, please stay with me. So she didn't know this person from Adam. And she said, all right, I'll stay with you. The ambulance came. They put him in the ambulance. His legs and arms were all twisted and torn in different areas. They were in odd angles, okay? They gently picked him up. They put him on a stretcher. And he said, can she come with us? So the emergency squad was shocked that this guy asked Dolly to come with him in the ambulance. And he said, sure, if she wants, she could come. So she rode with him to the hospital. They took him into the hospital. They took him into x-rays right away. And he said, please wait here. So they had him in x-rays for about 20 minutes and they took him out. He was still conscious and he did not complain of any pain. And they put him into a private room. And Dolly was there. There was several doctors there. And they said, we're probably going to have to bring him in for surgery immediately. We're just waiting for the films to come up. So the doctor left the room and Dolly was there and he's still on a gurney in this private room. And there's an attendant there. And the doctor said, we'll be right back. And the nurse was going to be coming back too with some medication. So he said to the attendant, he said, would you please get me some distilled water? I'm very, very thirsty. So the attendant said, I can't give you any water. You're probably going to go in for surgery. You can't be given any fluids. And he said, I'm very, very thirsty. Can you please go ask the doctor if I could please have some distilled water? And he said, please go ask the doctor. So the attendant said, he's going to tell me no, but I'll go and ask him. So the attendant leaves the room and it's just Dolly and this fellow. So the fellow says to Dolly, would you do me a favor? Go over by the doorway and tell me if somebody's coming. And Dolly looks at him and she said, what do you mean? He said, just go over to the doorway and look up and down the corridor and tell me if anybody's coming. So she didn't know what the heck he's talking about. So she says, all right, I'll do it. So she went over by the doorway and she looks up and down the corridor. And he said, is there anybody coming into this room? And she said, no. She said, there's nobody coming to the room right now. This fella sits up on a gurney and starts putting his arms back into joint. He puts his legs back into joint. He gets up off of the gurney and he walks over to Dolly, who's standing by the doorway, and said, now you won't wonder if there's such a thing as star beings, and walked out of the room and out of the hospital. The attendant came back and two doctors came back and a nurse, and they said, where's the guy who was in here? And she said, he got up and left. And he said, what do you mean he got up and left? 80% of the bones in his body were broken. They didn't see any internal bleeding, but they saw the bones were all broken. So she said, he just got up off the gurney and walked out. And they had his blood. They had taken a blood sample of him. And they showed Dolly that his red blood cells were pyramid shaped. And the doctors said to Dolly, she said that the doctor said, as far as we're concerned, this person never existed at all. And after that, she never had any doubt when she was receiving messages that they were coming from star beings. Okay. And she said, they looked just like us. And she said they were loving, caring people. But she said, I had so much doubt. And this person had to show me this thing in such an extreme way to get me to believe there's such a thing as star beings. So she began contacting them in more of an open manner, was doing readings, and we would interact with her. And we got a chance to go to Mount Shasta with her and Patricia and just had some wonderful experiences with her. Dolly, as far as I know, just disappeared. I saw no obituary for her. But if you go on the internet and use the name Dolly Campbell, psychic or clairvoyant, you'll see the most incredible messages that people left, that they've never had such a reading in their life as they had from Dolly Campbell. And again, I never came across an obituary. As far as I know, she may have just left, or maybe she went into Mount Shasta, or is operating in another frequency or another dimension right now. But she was always a wonderful cheerfulness about her, nothing ever negative. And she said, we're part of an incredible, expansive cosmic family.
Wow. How old would she be now if she were with
If
us?
she was alive now, she'd probably be in her late 80s, early 90s. But again, I saw no obituary for her. And of course, she had been estranged from the Campbell Soup family, but she never changed her name. She always went by her name, which is Dolly Campbell.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That
But
is
she was wonderful, just wonderful. And she was always so cheerful and always so caring. And I think I may have told you that I introduced her to Cowley, and Cowley came out to visit her. And after I told her and Cowley about each other and they started communicating, she said that she would get a phone call and the phone would ring. And as soon as she picked up the phone, she said that the kitchen cabinets in her kitchen would open up whenever she picked up the receiver, that it was Cowley. And she would say to Cowley, she said, I knew it was you because all my kitchen cabinets opened. So she said, I knew you were calling me. And they had a great relationship. And they were able to communicate on many different levels because they had so many incredible gifts and talents and abilities that they could share openly with one another. And yet they had to live a life of basically quiet solitude, because a lot of people are not open to this. They really aren't.
Yeah.
I want to share this with you too. When I was living out in California, I was the lighting consultant for Luxor Lighting out of New York City. They were based out of the Empire State Building. So I happened to go into a chiropractic center in Orange, and I came in to offer them the opportunity for lighting, for an upgrade in lighting. So I left my card and I said, is the owner available? And this woman came over to me. She must have been in her mid to late 40s. And she said, I am so glad you're here. She said, can you come back after 5? I need to talk to you privately. But she said, I can't talk to you now in front of these people. There's something I have to show you. So I said, sure, I'll be happy to come back. And she says, please keep this very, very quiet. And I said, I will. So I came back after 5 and her clinic was closed. And she said, I was hoping that somebody would come in that I could maybe interact with. And she said, I have something I need to show you. And I said, sure. So she took me into an area where she had one of the healing machines that had been developed in the 1900s that would project a beam of light through colored glass. And she had one of these original machines. A lot of them had been confiscated. And she showed it to me, and it was beautifully made. It was really beautifully made. And she said, my problem is that it had a very special light bulb. The light bulb was 1,000-watt light bulb. It's a huge bulb. It's like as big as a football. She said, does Luxor provide those kinds of light bulbs? I said, yes, they custom make them. And she said, is there a warranty on them? I said, yes, there is. The warranty is 5 years and like 5,000 hours of use. And she said, it'll take me forever to use 5,000 years of use, 5,000 hours of use. She said, but I do want to procure 2 of them. And she says, I want you to come back here. And she said, I want to show you how this device works. So I said to her, oh, that's wonderful. I said, can I bring my brother Simon, who was an architect? I said, can I bring my brother Simon? Because he's very open to this and he'll be very quiet about it too. And she said, sure. So it took about 3 weeks to have the bulb made. They were all made in northern New Jersey. And I brought them out to her. I called her first and she said, Frank, come after 5. She said, because what we have to do, it's going to be very quiet. I don't want anybody to see this. Because she only used this for private clients that she feels would be open and receptive to light healing. So I brought the bulb in and exchanged it with the old one and turned it on and it worked. And she showed me these slides. They were all custom made with different colors. One slide was green, one slide was yellow, one slide was orange, one slide was blue, one slide was pink. And they would put this slide in front of the light, and it would project a beam that would be like in a triangular shape coming from the device, and it would bathe the person in like a triangular shape of color. So she said, now I could use this with my clients because it really works. And she said, would you and Simon like to receive one of the treatments? And Simon and I said, sure, of course. And she said, choose what color that you want. And Simon chose a gold colored slide. And she says, you need to sit there for about maybe 10 minutes. And he said, sure. So she shut the lights off and she put the beam on, and he was enveloped in this triangular shaped golden triangle. It was beautiful. And it was such an incredible energy coming from it, Andrea and Linda. It was just really, really incredible. And after that, she shut the light off, and Simon felt so refreshed. And she asked me, she said, would you like to have one too? And I said, yes. And I chose the color blue. And I was enveloped in this triangular shaped color of blue. It was just really incredible. It felt so healing and so relaxing and so invigorating. And she said, please keep this very, very quiet. She said, I'm going to continue to work with people who are open-minded and receptive, giving them color healing treatments. But she said, I'll only do it after 5 o'clock. Because she said, if the medical community knew I had this device, they were confiscated, because so many of them were confiscated and destroyed, but they worked. They really worked. And it was an incredible experience. And as far as I know, I believe she's still using it. And, you know, if the bulb is 5,000 hours of usage and she's only using it for like 10 minutes at a time, those bulbs will last a long, long time. So she got 2 of them, and it was really a joy. So you never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah.
I went in there hoping to help her with the lighting for her business, and it's something that is going to benefit other people. So it's really wonderful. It's really wonderful. She said somebody had told her about this device, and she said that the wiring needed to be repaired. And she used it for a while, but it had the original bulb that was a 1,000-watt bulb, and they're really hard to come by. You know, thank God I was able to get it to her from Luxor Lighting, and they made bulbs up to 5,000 watts. I mean, huge light bulbs, but they're custom made, and they had a brass base, and would have a 5-year warranty. But I know she's getting good usage out of it. But I just wanted to share that with you. If you ever come across devices that people use for healing purposes using light therapy, that was the kind of devices for it.
How long ago was this, Frank?
This was probably like 20 years ago.
Okay. So it's amazing. You see a lot of light therapy now. It's kind of like become very popular.
Yes.
And so it's interesting that it's taken this long for it to actually be okay.
Oh my God. Yes. Because,
wow.
you know, it's like acupuncture. Acupuncture was poo-pooed by the medical community for the longest period of time. And now Johns Hopkins and also the Mayo Clinic talks about the advantages of acupuncture for all kinds of pain, including pain caused by cancer, because cancer pain is really very traumatic.
It's amazing because, I mean, acupuncture has been around for eons. It's part of Chinese medicine, and Chinese medicine has been around for eons, and it's really miraculous. Like, I can just speak on my daughter because she just, my older daughter, Leah, just recently went to a Chinese doctor, and she was in so much pain, and it was her entire body, and she didn't know how she was going to get better. And he said, for the first day, he said, I'm just going to do acupuncture. And he said, I'm going to give you these little herbal medicine balls. They're like little pills, and they're herbal medicine. And he says, I can't make you feel 100% better today, but I can make you feel 30% better. And she did. She says, I do feel 30% better, Mom. I'm so excited, because nobody could make me feel any better. She just kept getting worse and worse. And she's gone back to him several times now, and she feels, you know, exponentially better than she ever could have any other way. And so I really believe that it's very effective.
Andrea and Linda, it's now approved under medical programs, under medical insurance. And if you read the reports from Johns Hopkins and from the Mayo Clinic, most treatments are 6 to 8 treatments, but most people get their issue resolved after 2 treatments. Because what they're doing is they're working with the energy matrix of the body and alleviating blockages.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
They call them the meridians.
Right.
Yes, right. That's right. You're absolutely right.
I'm using a healing center, traditional Chinese medicine in Maynard, near where I live. It's amazing. I never use. In fact, I will never use conventional medicine. I have never been near any conventional medicine in absolutely years, and I never will.
Same.
I never.
Same.
So either, I've never have anything wrong with me anyway, because it's energy. But, I knew I had a chi blockage because I knew stuff wasn't working right.
Yes.
I was, I've been in car crash because I was in a car crash, and I was also, and I ride horses. So obviously I've hit the dirt many times. There's a lot of things out of whack. I'm probably going to be in treatment for a little while. But right after the first treatment, this person knew right away. Oh,
absolutely.
She could read my energy, and she was totally into star beings, and
that's awesome.
She's had many paranormal experiences while I was there. So I'm like, don't worry, what's gonna happen, don't worry. But one interesting thing, Frank, I'm not sure I told you. So they do a different kind of special acupressure. So
yes.
The first time was absolutely, Linda remembers this, painful. I felt like I was in a car crash. I'm like, I can't even, I'm like, oh my God. And I told Ika, I'm like, don't even come near me. Don't even come near me. And he's just standing there like, don't, no. So the second time, I was same thing. I'm like, a lot of pain. I'm like, all right. I said, unless you have magic fingers. And he ran his hands. He was specific. Because it's particularly my back, and that's where all the accidents were and everything. So my really bad pain in the back. From the session, because everything's healing. So he took his hands like this, and he just ran them across my back, and I could feel. He did a couple times, and I could just feel like everything heal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, all right, that worked. I'm like, I got a lot of pain over here too, and he just did the same, but it was like specific, like this across. All the pain was gone.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Well, then I yelled at him, because the first time I was in agony. I said, unless you have magic fingers, don't even touch me. And he didn't touch me. He lied. So he didn't think it was funny. It's not funny. It was not funny. I was like, no, I'm not gonna.
You're talking about Ika, right?
Ika, yeah.
The first time, not the doctor.
You left me like that, and you knew you could have fixed the pain.
Right.
Well, you mentioned meridians, and I believe that they can see where the blockages are in those meridians,
yes.
Andrea.
They
can totally see it. They could see it.
That's what this doctor did for my daughter. And also I went to one as well, which is why I was able to recommend that she go to one, because I had a frozen shoulder that I had injured from a vacuum cleaner. I had just done it a little too hard, and I couldn't even move my arm would only go up this far. And then if I tried to make it go up any further, it would be like, horrible pain. So, and I couldn't make my arm go around anymore. I couldn't do anything. And I went to this doctor, and he did this thing called Tui Na, which is a type of therapy that they do. And he just took my arm and made it go around a bunch of times, and it hurt, but it worked. He just manipulated the energy. But of course, first he did the acupuncture, because that was able to get out all of the toxins and manipulate the energy first. And then he did the Tui Na. And then when he did that, I only had to go to him 2 times, and it was completely healed.
How long ago was this, Linda?
This is a couple of years ago, just like 2 years ago.
And it's resolved.
Oh yeah, I can't even tell that anything ever happened.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing, because I knew other people were telling me, oh, you're going to have to get cortisone shots or something like that. You're going to have to go to a doctor and I'm like, I don't do doctors. I don't do Western medicine, and I'm not getting any shots.
Why would you go to a Western medicine when they're not going to do anything for you other than poison you? I mean,
they kept
I want to be poisoned. I want to be fixed. It's like
these shots, you have to keep getting them over and over and over again.
It's like steroids. Your body gets addicted to them.
Right. Yeah.
They're treating the symptom and not the cause.
exactly.
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, why would you want to cure somebody and you don't make any money?
Yeah.
And see, that was the thing about the Chinese doctor. I haven't had to go back to him since.
Right.
So I don't know how he makes his money because he just must have new patients all the time because I don't have to go to him. I'm fine now. There's nothing else that I need. And I know how to, I'm sure you know too, we know how to take care of ourselves. We know how to,
Sure.
what vitamins to take, how to keep our energy good, and how to live our lives so that we don't have to go to doctors.
Linda, I'm sure they get a lot of referrals because of people like
Yes.
you or Andrea who've gotten the healings
that's
from it.
right.
They can share with their friends.
Yeah, because no
I
one
highly
wants to-
recommend them. If you have a
I've never met a nurse yet who had anything good to say about modern medicine.
yeah.
Not,
Well,
I'm always kind of pushing because I don't believe in any of this. I don't believe in any modern medicine at all. And I'm always kind of testing to see what they're going to say. And they're all like, oh, stay away from it. And I'm like, exactly. I was like, yeah, it's all a bunch of baloney. They're actually, one of the stories is the practitioner I go to was very dramatic. An older gentleman in his 70s had a very bad back. His back was bent over. He started getting like it was arthritis, and
the
he was.
hunch. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we're gonna have to surgery, and all that stuff they talk about. And he went to her, and she said it's gonna take a little while. It took him, I think it took 5 months because it was very bad. He went from bent over to standing straight up. Everything's healed,
Yeah.
and his hair grew back.
Wow.
And she showed me, she said, there he was bald, like all the way across the front, and then she showed me the pictures and you could see that hair, like, I'm like, I couldn't believe it. She says, he didn't care about his back. All he cared about was his hair, and it was all back.
Wow.
So she uses the Twina, which is deadly, and
It hurts.
and she has a quantum. She also uses quantum.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I just had the herb. He gave me the herbal pills too.
And the herb, it's
Yeah.
herbs, quantum. It's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Linda, was he in Miami? He was in Miami, Linda?
No, I'm not near Miami. I'm on the other coast. I'm on the West
You're on
Coast.
the Gulf Coast. Okay.
So this is Sarasota,
Yes.
Florida. It's about an hour south of Tampa.
Yes.
And that is where he is. I guarantee if you, no matter where you live, if you look, you will find a Chinese doctor. I hope at least,
Yes.
because even if they're not close, they're worth going to because they're amazing. And my daughter was so fortunate. She was gonna go to this other doctor that was a regular medical doctor.
Yes.
She waited for 3 weeks to see him, and he canceled last minute. And she was in so much pain, and she's like, Mom, he canceled last minute. I'm like, well, you weren't meant to go to him. You just weren't supposed to go.
That was the
And I
universe.
said, go look up and see if you have a Chinese medicine doctor near you. She looked it up, and he was only 5 minutes away. And he went and he saw her the next day. So I was like, there you go. It was meant to be.
Linda, how close is he to you? Is he close enough?
My medical doctor, he's only like a 10-minute drive.
That's good. Is he booked well in advance, or can you get in to see him if you need to?
I think I can get in to see him if I need to. I've only had to, like I said, I've only had to see him twice. And
Wow, that's great.
yeah, so it wasn't, there was no problem. It was just, there were people that came in. He had other clients, but it was just, it was pretty laid back. He only had a couple of rooms,
Yeah.
there was his wife also was a practitioner as well, and she had one side of the building and he had the other side.
Wow.
So yeah.
I met a woman who's very much into Indian medicine, not Native American Indian from the continent of India.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
she told me, she said, begin every morning, take 3 peppercorns, 3 whole peppercorns, and she said, swallow with either apple juice or water. And she said, do that every day. She said it has an incredible beneficial effect to the body. And I've been doing that for the past couple months. And I'm telling you, I don't know whether it's just that or anything else, but I've been getting some very beneficial effects from it. And she said, do it every day, 3 whole peppercorns, black peppercorns, black.
Good for your heart. I know that.
Is it? Okay.
Yes, it's very good for your heart. And that's Ayurvedic medicine. That's what
Yes.
Indian, I love that. That's wonderful.
But I never heard that before. Had you or Andrea ever heard of that before?
Not about the peppercorns.
Yeah.
I've heard
She
that
says, try it.
pepper.
She said, you won't regret it. Go ahead.
I've heard that black pepper is good. Like they make it in I used to work in a health food store and people would come in and buy black pepper in pills because they didn't want to eat as much because you'd have to eat a lot to get the same effect. But
Yes.
peppercorn is basically the same thing and it's better than a pill. You know, who
Yep.
knows what else they put in that pill? So you're better off just getting a peppercorn and doing that. So yeah.
And I've been using turmeric for a long, long time. I
Yeah,
get
me too.
organic turmeric, and it's only like $2, $2.50 for a glass bottle of it, a glass container of
Yes.
it. And I put it on my salads. I put it on popcorn. I put it on all kinds of food.
I
And
do too.
I'm telling you, that cleans the entire glandular system. It's really powerful stuff.
It
What's
is. I use
important
it
about
on my food as
about
well. It's really good on potatoes. Try it on baked
Yes,
potatoes.
yes, yes. Yep,
Try it
yep,
on eggs. I put
yeah.
it on
yeah,
eggs.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very good.
If you take regular turmeric, though, it's not bioavailable. So what they do in Ayurvedic medicine is that you have to. I work with a guy who use it for chickens, and the stuff he was using was a special turmeric, and he can't get it anymore. But it was used with bioperine because you have to take turmeric with pepper, which is what bioperine is.
Yes, 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 yes.
People just take turmeric without a fat and pepper
Yep,
or peppercorns. You won't be able to utilize it. You
yep,
have
yep.
to take it with so it comes with bioperine, or you could just take it with the peppercorns and some kind of
Yes.
I
stuff he
usually,
had came out of a research, a regular research. They were using this type of so we were using it, we used it with the chickens because it would generally alleviate some of the viral stuff that were fatal in chickens. He can't get this one anymore, but it came out of a research where they were using it to cure pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
And it
Wow.
used in this study. Of course, you're never going to hear about it because they didn't want it to get out. But
yes.
this type of thing, and I actually got the dosages and everything that they were using from this guy who works with the chickens. It reduced the tumors of pancreatic cancer by 70%.
Wow.
Wow.
How much did you have to use? A lot?
I'd have to look up my records to find out what it was. It was a lot. Yeah. But I mean,
but it works.
but they got rid of it. They got rid of everything. Because they don't want anybody to know about this, but this turmeric in this study actually did the trick. We can't even get it anymore. It was a very high bioavailable turmeric because what we were using it for was so there's a disease in chickens called Marek's, and what it does is causes cancer, and it's a cancer chicken. It's a virus disease. It is terrible. And there's a vaccine for it. You know, I don't believe in vaccines, but this one actually works. Yeah, I have to use it. You know, but for chickens that were beginning to show symptoms, if you could catch the Marek's at an early stage and give them this turmeric, it was a high dose, very high dose in the chicken. It had some curative properties. And one of my vets actually used it and she cured a chicken of Marek's.
Wow.
So but now we can't get this one anymore. But I'm sure if you could, you know, try to get some really high quality, probably Ayurvedic quality turmeric with bioperine, you could probably replicate that.
Bioperine, that's what it's called.
Well, it's just peppercorns. It's called the when they put it in the capsule. So if you have bioavailable, it makes it's like people just take turmeric, it's a waste of time. You got to take turmeric with pepper and with some fat. So the bioperine is the type of peppercorn extract that they put in the turmeric to make it like 1,000 times more bioavailable.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you use fresh ground pepper with turmeric, the antioxidant properties is 1,000% higher than anything else that you could utilize.
Yeah, I always
use the second one. The second one behind that, they said, is using fresh squeezed lemon juice. They said the curative properties of pure lemon juice is unbelievable.
That makes sense because it's like an antiseptic as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I would think you might be able to get that kind of turmeric from like overseas.
Well, that's where he used to get it.
You have to get it from India, maybe.
He would get all these different medications for the chickens that were all natural, like the turmeric and the oregano.
Mm-hmm.
And the government was on his tail like he was bringing in opium.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, it's just oregano oil from Greece. It's this special term. And he says, they were tailing me like I was bringing in like, I
Cocaine
wonder,
or something. Yeah,
I wonder
that's
why.
crazy.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we know why.
we know. Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
he knows
turmeric
why.
is part of the saffron family. It's part of the saffron family.
Yes, I have
Turmeric.
saffron too. Yeah,
Yeah.
saffron, you don't see people use that very much, and it used to be a
I think it's
thing.
for a lot of people, yeah.
People used to use it in their food a lot more. It's harder to find, and it's very expensive, saffron.
Very expensive. Yes, very
Yeah.
expensive.
I
How does
grow
it,
it. I grow my own saffron.
you
Oh,
do?
cool.
How does it grow, Andrea?
It's a crocus. It's a fall crocus.
Oh, okay.
It
Okay.
sends up like a crocus, the spring crocus. Well, this is a fall crocus, and
Yeah.
it just at the fall, and then it just sends up the crocus, and you pick the middle part out.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's the
Wow. We
yeah.
could grow all of our own stuff. And then
You could grow
they,
You can
they
buy
wouldn't
this.
be
You
able
can
to
buy
do
saffron.
anything to us because we're growing it ourselves.
Sure.
We need to get rid of this system. It needs to come down.
A change is going to come.
I don't
Yes.
care. I don't live in the system anymore. I've been out of the system for years, so I don't care.
Right. Well, I know, but if it prevents people from buying turmeric, then we need to get rid of it.
To get rid of them, it's just
Or growing it.
I don't care. They can do whatever they want. I'm no longer a part of it. I'm no longer. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
They can't take your chickens.
Well, they're not going to take my chickens. No one's taking.
That's right. We're not going to let them.
Well, there's a lot of people need to understand this. They're cracking down like crazy on small farms. They're coming up with all kinds of ridiculous legislation. So what they're doing is using World Health, all this baloney with World Health, and yeah, they're trying to literally destroy all the small farmers and prevent people from growing food and all. And they'll come up with some ridiculous thing. We actually have the government flying drones over farms around my place.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. Oh yeah, it's just all baloney in order to prevent people from, and they just take you out basically. I mean,
1984.
it's people that are the farmers. All the farmers know, and your average person is they're just zombies. They have no idea what's going on, but all the farmers know. And I said it's time for the farmers, and I don't know what's taking us so long because I'm ready. It's time for the farmers to hit the road like they are in England, like they are in France. Get our tractors, get our horse trailers, get all of our equipment, get our whatever we got, the manure, and hit the road. Go up to the town halls and everybody's city and whatever, and just unload.
Yes.
And then, I mean, no one's gonna. We've got the equipment. They're never going to be able to take out a farmer.
Yes, that's true.
American farmers, I don't know what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
They're all in their basements. It's like, come on, guys, let's hit the road. Let's block the roads. Let's get out there. Let's go.
Like the truckers. Yeah.
We're the truckers. We are.
Like,
That's where do you? Yeah, we've got all the equipment. We got the big backhoes. We got everything.
Yep.
And we got the manure. I mean, that's the big thing. So we can just take out anybody.
Yes.
And we're just sitting on it. We're letting the towns and cities just it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like in my town, it's me. I have a 90-year-old farm, and my neighbor who's got a 45-year-old farm. She's 81 years old.
Aw.
And they're making up their own law, which is against the law. They're making up their own law in the court systems of Massachusetts, laws which don't even exist in the court system. They're making up their own legal code. 666. Deep state.
Wow.
It's the deep state. They're making it up. And it's just, and we're like, we're not budging. Me and an 81-year-old woman, we're like, no way. Yep.
Well, dear ones, thank you for such a wonderful afternoon. It was a wonderful opportunity to share, and thank you for allowing me to share these little tidbits of interesting experiences along the path.
Yes, and thank you for sharing them with us and for
It's always a joy. It's always a
coming
joy.
on my show.
And
I
again,
always love it when you do.
And again, if anyone has any questions, or if you want, maybe you might want to post that the Bigfoot healed me, that story. And I have another one where the scientist has decoded a lot of the Bigfoot mystery, the Sasquatch mystery. I'm going to send it to you. Incredible information about their
I'll put that in the
abilities.
link. I'll put that in, as a link in the description for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Thanks again. Continue being brilliant. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the eclipse. Okay.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy the eclipse, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Where's the I get others.
Thank you again.